Oh, my beautiful Ocala family, it's so good to be back. And as we sit in the safety and the beauty and the security of this wonderful sanctuary to celebrate the spirit of life together, I'm going to invite you to take a moment in silence and close your eyes as we lift up the community of the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. Let's just take a moment and reflect on all the gifts of being in community so safely and securely. And feel our energy reaching out to uplift each and every member and everyone affected by everything going on there. Shalom. May peace prevail on earth. The essence of peace prevailing on earth comes to us in a different direction this season. And this is actually a season we're not real familiar with it in Florida. It's called fall or autumn. But as Donna said this morning, that we were so gifted with a sudden change in weather. I got so excited I put on my snowflake socks. I just thought, let's get the party started. Let's go. So, autumn and a couple of events that are coming up in the next couple of weeks give us an opportunity to really think about the gifts of fall, of autumn, of darkness and light making a shift. We don't really know what time it is. Next week it's going to go an hour forward, an hour backward. Who knows? It's one time in Indiana, it's one time in Florida. But we just want to pay attention to the light and the dark in the season. So, of course, coming up on Wednesday, the first thing is Halloween. I no longer have my black cat with me, but still, I think, black cats and candy, of course, candy. Chocolate always makes me think of Halloween. Kids, with pumpkins filled with sugary treats. I'm a kid too. Give me the candy. And Halloween is wonderful because it is a pagan Christian mashup. Just as Christmas is, and just as some of the other holidays are. I like to think of it, if you're going to combine those two things, we're going to change the name and we're going to call it Hallabooyah. Like that, Hallabooyah. Gives it a little ring, makes it very memorable. And then I'm in the last couple of years, I'm really a firm believer now that there are no coincidences that elections fall so quickly after Halloween. I think there's something about that window being open, and it just kind of, one goes right from the other. So we call that season Howl Election Time. Howl Election Time. So we've got both of those things coming up. And honestly, what the main thing is that this is a gift from the universe, from Spirit, to remind us of one simple thing that is at the heart and soul of Science of Mind. Something you know, but it's always good to be reminded of. You are light. We are light. Light is literally entrained in the cells of our body. It's the DNA standing for divine natural ability. Divine natural ability of each and every cell to work together in harmony and in wholeness to reveal and reflect the light that resides within all of us. This is acronym morning. I'm going to go wild with acronyms. So I like acronyms. So we've got DNA first, divine natural ability. We've got some wordplay, but I love words, and so we're going to have fun with that today. You are light. Here in this season, we start to see a shift now, and especially with our kindred holiday, solstice coming up in December, where the days get shorter and the nights get longer, and it feels like there's more darkness and more light. And we know that that's not just a seasonal thing, but it's also a metaphorical thing, because a lot of people are starting to feel like there's more darkness than light in the world. And we're starting to feel that SAD, the seasonal effectiveness disorder, coming from just doing what our ancestors used to do years ago, which was to sit around the fire and tell stories during the long, dark nights. We no longer need to do that now. All we have to do is watch the news. And sometimes I call the news tales from the dark side. It just depends upon what channel and what you're into. But to remember that you are light. So in the past, we got together. It's hard to imagine now with all the bright lights in this place and the fluorescent lights that are going on. It's hard to imagine that all that time ago with our ancestors that they depended so much on natural light. So naturally, as the days got shorter and the nights got longer, there's a change not only in the chemistry within our body, but there's a change that affects our livelihood, our livestock, the way we live. Wondering sometimes, may light prevail on earth? May peace prevail on earth? Is the light going to return? Always remembering that the light does return. But wondering, as you go through your days, and they get shorter light, longer darkness, the feeling that we need to get together and celebrate that, and that's where the pagan rituals, celebrations, festivities come, putting lights in pumpkins and lighting the bonfire and eventually, later on, lighting the hearth and all of that to show light always prevails. Light always prevails. And in this season, to remember that in the midst of fear, light and love always prevail. Perfect love casts out fear. Perfect light casts out fear. And it's not so much the fear itself. It's our belief that the fear is necessary. It's our belief that the fear is inevitable. It's our belief that suffering is inevitable. It's our belief that fear is an essential way of life. It's not the fear itself. It's our belief in its necessity. It isn't that we are here to battle the fear. We are here to transcend our attachment to that fear as a way of life. If you look at the structures that we've created in the world around us, everything from insurance companies to military generals to doctors are ready to tell you about impending loss in life. Yikes, be afraid. Fear is everywhere. But we're remembering light always prevails. So we can look at it one of two ways. We can look at it as the fear, which for some individuals stands for, acronym, love them. Fear, forget everything and run. Or Terry Cole Whitaker used to say, F everything and run. Yeah. Which is kind of apropos of Terry Cole Whitaker. She is a little wild. We like that. But now we're thinking about it, and maybe fear, F-E-A-R, really stands for face everything and rise. Mm-hmm. Face everything and rise. I like it. Different shift. We're moving from scared to sacred. You're not running, you're facing and you're rising. So the idea of this fear and our attachment to it is what we're moving through in the season. I have an interesting story about a woman, quick story. She is an older woman. God, what is an older woman these days? I don't know. No. Start thinking about younger. Start calling everyone younger. Oh, he's 60, he's younger man. She's an older woman, long since retired, widowed, and has a little bit of money and travels and loves to go to Costa Rica. Thinks it's a beautiful place, lovely people, beautiful environment, great food, wonderful. Well, she's got an interesting religious belief system, and she talks a lot about Jesus and the Bible and all of her beliefs. And she planned a trip to go to Costa Rica again this year. And as a part of their discussion in their church, they were starting to talk about the nature of good and evil. So I work at the flea market down the road here, and she comes in and she asked me 2 weeks before she leaves for Costa Rica, do you think people are inherently evil or inherently good? I said, being on the cheerleading squad for light, people are inherently good. Look, I got snowflakes on my socks. Hello? People are inherently good. She said, well, you're the only person so far that's told me that. Everyone else believes that people are inherently evil. I said, well, that's a very interesting belief. I said, you realize that that will be showing up in your life in so many different ways. She said, I really believe that. She said, and you are stupid to think that people are good. I said, cool by me. I like being in that crowd. So she goes to Costa Rica, this place that she loves. She brings all of her friends. They rent a house. She comes back a week later, and you know what happened? She got robbed. She was on the beach, and as she's watching this gang of guys come along, smash her car up, steal her phone, her iPad, all her money. She comes back from the trip seriously disappointed, very sad. And the first thing she said, she comes up to me at the flea market and she says, I told you, people are evil. And I proved it. And I said, fear can rule your life, or you can face everything and rise. Ultimately, it isn't about are people good or are people evil. I would be very interested in some way of finding out if that is so. Scientifically, how would you even test that? You know, how would you conduct some sort of test, biologically, chemically, somewhere to find out? But really the question is, do you believe that? It's really your belief. It's not so much the scientific proof, but it's, do you believe that people are good? Or do you believe that people are evil? And that, as we know, is what shows up in your life. So she said, you are so wrong. And I said, I'm good with being wrong on this. So the next day, at my little space in the market, 3 times in one day, it was like the Spirit was just having fun. It was just messing with us. 3 times in one day. The first time, a woman walks up to me, picks something up off my counter, and she says, is this your wallet? And I said, no, it's not my wallet. I said, somebody must have left it behind. She said, oh, we need to find out who lost their wallet so we can get it back to them. We don't want them to be afraid that they've lost all their stuff. Let's go and find the person who lost their wallet. I said, you're on my team. You're good. So we went and found it. You know what happened? 3 times that day, someone lost their wallet, someone lost their glasses, someone lost their keys. It was like the 3rd time is the charm. And each time, not only did someone pick it up and not take it, but they came to me and asked me if I knew about it, and they worked with me to help find the person that had lost it. I thought, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well, when I told her that, she said, I still think you're crazy. I said, I'm still good with that. But face everything and rise. No longer allow that fear to come up within you. So as we look at that idea of fear and face everything and rise, and we look at our holiday season, we want to remember that it isn't really about shutting the world out. It isn't necessarily about denying everything that goes on. We have a lot of discussions in classes about, do you watch the news, do you not watch the news? And you know, a lot of people, when they start off in this teaching and you want to learn how to practice, you're better off not watching the news as you really get yourself acclimated to spiritual practices and you want to understand the nature of your mind. It's good to really spend some time learning to listen to your own voice. After that, I highly recommend that you watch the news, because you realize then that it's not what's going on out there, it's what's going on in here. It's your perspective, you know, and if you believe more in what you see out there than what you see in here, then everything out there is going to distress you. So you move through that time where you realize it's not about the news. It's not about your ex-husband. It's not about your job. It's not about your weight. It's not about any of those different things. It's about how you perceive. Do you believe? It's about your belief system once again. So we don't necessarily, as we're learning to face everything and rise, need to shut out the news, need to shut out the world. We just need to increase our spiritual practices. You need to up the ante. You need to learn to increase your day. So we're learning to increase our spiritual practices. And there's two great sayings that help us learn exactly how to do that. The first saying comes from the poet Rumi. Raise your words, not your voice. It's rain that grows flower, not the thunder. We see a lot of raising of voices. Someone said it's the raising of volume society in which we live. Raising our voices, but we're not raising our words. Those words, those acronyms, those word plays. Words are thoughts manifested. Raise your words. Raise the level of dialogue. Learn not to engage in, you're stupid, you're crazy, you think this way. You know, we tend to like people that agree with us. And I think that what's going on now as we're learning to face things is to learn to understand other people and learn to have conversations that are more open and more inclusive, even more so than we ever have before. In the past, we used to say, oh, you know, Oprah's just like us, or the Baptists are just like us, or whoever it is that we were into that week. But there's a key thing in communication to remember as you're raising your words and you're opening to more inclusive conversations, that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we listen twice as much, but it's the place that we listen from, and I know it's a dangling participle, so I know we shouldn't end a sentence in front, but the idea of listening to understand and not listening merely to obtain agreement. 2 very different ways to approach the world. 2 very different ways to approach any relationship. To listen to understand is to open heart to heart, soul to soul, mind to mind. We may not always agree, but in any relationship, if you want to be right, you're listening to obtain agreement, not just to understand. If we want to be the victorious party, you know, red party, blue party, if we want to be the victorious one in a relationship, if we want to be right about whether people are good or evil, we're listening to obtain agreement, not to understand. So in order to raise your words, listen to understand. Go in with an open heart, open mind, and just listen. It's a fascinating world, isn't it? Don't you find yourself having fascinating conversations with people these days? You're like, wow, I never knew anyone thought like that. And they never knew anyone that thought like this. Fascinating conversations. Second thing is, this is good to remember these days as you watch whatever form of news you're watching. Raise your consciousness, not your blood pressure. Right? So raising our consciousness asks us to move beyond the idea of duality, dualism, polarity, us and them, right and wrong, red and blue, man and woman. That idea of either or, not the inclusive, not the circle, not the community. To raise our consciousness is to do, again, like Rumi says, out beyond right and wrong, there's a field, I'll meet you there. That's the field, that's the place we want to have those conversations. And moving beyond, we tend to dualize, even in science of mind, even in New Thought, good thoughts, bad thoughts, negative people, positive people. Move beyond that, out into that field that Rumi is talking about, and engage in those open-hearted consciousness and consciousness-raising ideas. And not just elevate your blood pressure. Even in our families, you know, it's that time of year again, we're going to be gathering around tables at Thanksgiving. You know, we survived last year, we survived the year before. We're going to do it again this year. We're going to get everyone around the table and find a conversation that works for everybody. We're reaching for a world that works for everyone. We're going to start with a conversation that works for everybody. So we'll start with that. But raise your consciousness and not just your blood pressure. So moving through Halloween, learning to face everything and rise. Then we come on to the thing after that, the year of election. the next round of elections, hallowed election time. And so now we know we're raising our words, we're raising our consciousness, we're knowing that peace prevails on earth, we're creating a world that works for everyone, and we're going to get out into those polling booths and take this spiritual practice that we have worked with and just engage on a political level with that same spiritual values that we talk about here, the values that we have in our own life, and we're going to work with another acronym. We're going to vote, V-O-T-E, which means to voice our truth eloquently. Even though there may be some people who believe that vote stands for voice of the enemy, voice our truth eloquently. Because every single person in this room, because we have been in Science of Mind for a long time, we have been in New Thought for a long time, we are master voters. We are master voters. Because a vote is a thought. It's a unit of energy. That's all that it is. It's just that unit of energy moved out. So every single day, every master voter in this room, with every unit of energy within them, with every thought, every feeling, you vote. From the moment you open your eyes, you vote on how you create your day. Your thoughts, your attitudes, your beliefs create your day. You're voting for a certain type of day or some other type of day, but your thoughts create that. Every conversation, someone said to me the other day, every conversation you engage in with every other individual is a vote for what kind of a relationship you're creating in your life. From the most intimate relationship to the most casual relationship. Every conversation is a vote for love or for respect, for harmony, whatever it is that you are creating. You're voting for a relationship. Everything that you do for your body, every food you ingest, every type of exercise, how much you sleep, the way you take care of yourself is a vote for the type of body you would like to have while you walk on this earth. And every dollar you spend is a vote for the economy you want to create and the economy you want to see in the world. So every dollar supports something. Every thought supports something. Every single one of us is a master voter. So all that we are doing when we get out there is voting for our values, creating the world we want to live in. So what does our vision for a unified America look like? What does our vision look like? Where fear is moving from forget everything and run to face everything and rise. What does America look like when we together face everything and rise? What does our world look like when we move from scared to sacred? We are the master voters. Meditate on that through this season as we're remembering the light that resides within us. Remember that and move that out into the world. As Ernest says, and the affirmation that you have in your program there, for if the whole nation works together and prays together, a great moral and spiritual power, an actual soul force will penetrate the whole world. So I want you to say the affirmations I said earlier today. We're going to say it once loud and strong for our mind. We're going to say it once softer and quieter for our heart. Let's say it together. Perfect love casts out fear for our mind, loud and strong. Perfect love casts out fear. And now quietly for our heart, perfect love casts out fear. And let's do it for light, loud and strong. Perfect light casts out fear. And then quiet inside, perfect light casts out fear. Reflect on your sacred life. Reflect on the eternal nature of your light. Reflect on the power that resides within you. Let's keep working toward that world that works for everyone. And I want to end the talk this morning with Ernest Holmes' Prayer for My Country. Ernest's thoughts back in 42, somewhere around the time of World War II. This was Ernest's prayer for our country. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath and relax. And allow your energy to join me, to join Ernest Holmes in a prayer for our country. Believing in the divine destiny of the United States of America and in the preservation of liberty, security, and self-expression for all, I offer this, my prayer for my country. I know that divine intelligence governs the destiny of the United States of America, directing the thought and the activity of all who guide its affairs. I know the success, prosperity, and happiness are the gifts of freedom and the divine heritage of everyone in this country, that they are now operating in the affairs of every individual in this country. I know that divine guidance enlightens the collective mind of the people of this country, causing it to know that economic security may come to all without the loss of either personal freedom or individual self-expression. I know that no one can believe or be led to believe that personal freedom must be surrendered in order to ensure economic security for all. The all-knowing mind contains the answer to every problem which confronts this country. I know that every leader in this country is now directed by this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge of a complete solution to every problem. Each is impelled to act upon this knowledge to the end that abundance, security, and peace shall come to all. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing to everyone in this country personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. Take a breath and breathe into that. And feel your own prayer going forth as peace prevails on earth. I am so grateful for every beautiful, enlightened, warm, wise, generous, gracious soul seated in this room, watching from whatever device they're watching, for everyone who's in the radius of our consciousness. As we are lifted up, we draw all others unto us. And that power of peace, that power of light, that power of wisdom, that power of love and all spiritual qualities prevails now on earth. Only love prevails. Only peace prevails. Only wisdom prevails. Only light prevails. We go forth to be this light in every word, every thought, with every deed. We are the light of the world. Take a deep breath. Om Shanti Shalom.